Hi, I'm Dave Kale. Welcome to this Christian Business Insights podcast show where my goal is to provide you with practical, actionable ideas to help you create businesses and careers of excellence and at the same time multiply your influence for the kingdom. I have been a Christian in business for over 30 years, and I have personally and contractually consulted with over 500 different sales organizations. So in these podcasts, I combine the lessons that I have learned with an out-of-the-box experience and perspective on Christianity that you will find challenging. And we put that together to provide you with practical insights and ideas that you can use to live better and lead better. Welcome to the journey. Hi, this is Dave. Sometimes on the show we deal with spiritual things, sometimes we deal with business things, sometimes we deal with the combination of those two. In this session, we're going to deal with a purely business issue, and that's this. So what do you do when you're starting a company and you have no money? Well, that's a question I'm going to respond to here in a question and answer session. So here's the question. Dave, I started a new company 1 year ago, and I have a shoestring budget. I've been unable to pay for any sales courses at this point in my business, but I have been able to read a few books on sales. What would you do in my position to attract customers and build relationships? Oh, boy, that's a tough one. So here's my answer. Understanding that hindsight is always clear and accurate, I would not have gotten myself into the position in the first place. Yeah, one of the things I've learned over the years has to do with how incredibly difficult it is to get a new thing, that would be a new company, a new product, a new idea, to get a new thing started and growing to the point where it is profitable. Incredibly difficult. Whoever said, build a better mousetrap and the world will be the path to your door? Have you ever heard that saying? Whoever, build a better mousetrap and the world will be the path to your door? Whoever said that was delusional. That expression has brought more pain and frustration into the world of small business than almost anything else I can think of. People actually believe it. They think all they need to do is provide a little better product or a little better service and everything will take care of itself. Boy, that's far from the truth. Believe me, the economic landscape is littered with the rotting corpses of startup companies and their owners who believed that all they had to do was get a little better service, a little better product, and everything will work out. If your company has the slightest chance of succeeding, you will need to clearly describe the advantages and benefits that your company and product or service brings to the market in such a way as to make it seem more difficult not to buy than to buy it. So that's number one. Why should someone buy your thing? You need to articulate that. You need to clearly and accurately describe your market segment in the most detailed terms possible. And I'm speaking to a business owner now, describing your market segment. Who is it that you sell to? Who is it that you expect to buy your product? You'll need to identify the individual members of that market, or at least identify specific means and methods of communication to that market. How do you get your message to them? Who are they and how do you get your message to them? You need to figure that out. You'll need to package your offering in attractive terms and deliver that message powerfully and repetitively to that market. You'll need to capture the names and demographic information of your buyers so that you can appeal to them to purchase something else again. You'll have to have some way to gain referrals and word-of-mouth business. And that's just the basics. If you're selling through resellers or some kind, that would be distributors or retailers or so on, then the project becomes more complex. All of this comes together in one of the laws that I have formulated over the years. So I have a few laws that are more observations than anything else. But this is what I call Cale's law of new business marketing. Law number one, and that's this: if you're going to create a new business or market a new product, you must spend roughly the same amount of time to develop the system to sell that product as you did in developing the product itself. Let me repeat that. If you're going to create a new business or market a new product, you must spend roughly the same amount of time and money to develop the system to sell that product as you did to develop the product. In other words, if it took you 2 years and $100,000 to get your new product ready for market, it will take you 2 years and $100,000 to get your system to sell the product ready. Now, that doesn't mean that you sold one thing. It just means that you need to spend that much to get the system in place ready to sell. You can rightly conclude then that most small and new businesses fail because they don't budget enough time and money to create their selling system. That is, from my experience, most small businesses, most new businesses fail because they don't do sales well. And one of the reasons why they don't do sales well is they just have not invested sufficiently in the sales system. So back to my question, what's my advice to the questionnaire? What should he do with no budget and a new business? Well, I don't mean to seem harsh, but I'm coming from decades of experience with these kinds of things, and I'm going to try to save you a year or so of excruciating difficulty. And here's my advice: forget trying to build a business with no money for marketing and sales. Give it up, find a job. Save your money. Try it again when you have some money to invest. This will be far less expensive, far less time-consuming, and far less emotionally draining than trying to do it with no budget. Now, having said that, I also know that there is not much likelihood of you following that advice. You just don't believe me, or maybe you have ego, money, and emotion invested to this effort to such a degree that you just cannot walk away. Okay. In that case, then I'm going to strongly recommend one of my books to you. I'd rush out and get How to Sell Anything to Anyone Anytime. That's one of my books. It's all about creating a sales process that can be relied upon to produce consistent, methodical results. Buy the book, follow the process, implement as much as you can with no money, and best of luck. Okay, not what you wanted to hear, but this is practical wisdom. I've been around this for a long time, and that's my opinion. Now, before I go, I just want to bring to your attention, every year I do a cohort on for sales leaders and sales managers, which we call the Sales Leaders Excellence and Influence course. And in it, I teach a sales management system. So it's a program for sales managers primarily. And we do it as a cohort. We have limited to 12 people. Start it just after the first of the year. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes. We'll start taking registrations for that right now. So if you're interested, check out the link in the show notes, and I hope to see you in the Sales Leaders Excellence and Influence course. Okay, that's it. We're done. Bye-bye.